Welcome to the NAB Streaming Summit. My name is Dan Rayburn. Joining me today, Colin. Colin, thanks very much for sitting down for this fireside chat. I'll give you a little bit of indication as to why I picked Colin and asked him to come talk about what Xumo is doing. Many of you probably know Xumo as a brand that offers free content, but they're doing a lot more than that. They've recently made some news about new business that they're going to be focusing on, three parts of their business, which Colin is going to talk about today. So what I wanted to do was get the brand out there more, get people to understand what they're doing. It's interesting because of who owns Xumo and who they're tied to as far as an ISP goes. So what we're going to talk about today is just the three pillars of their business, because it's interesting since it's content, it's monetization. They also have an OS. You're also talking hardware. Interesting aspect of the industry when most companies are focused, say, just on a particular piece of hardware or a particular type of content. Xumo's kind of really doing everything. So with that, Colin, appreciate you joining us. Why don't you give everyone a little bit of background of what you're doing at Xumo and what your responsibility is?
Sure. Thanks, Dan. Hi, everybody. My name's Colin. Before I talk a little bit about Xumo, just a quick introduction to myself. I'm from Cape Town, South Africa. I was originally a structural engineer specializing in water-retaining concrete. So I have no idea how I wound up on the stage at a broadcasting conference, but I was the founder of Xumo about 12 years ago. I've had a life in online advertising, actually was my history. I'd been through a startup, been acquired before, but started Xumo. And it was actually out of a desire initially, and bear with me, I'm going to tell you two quick stories of how Xumo was born and then a little bit about Comcast. So Xumo was born out of a desire to find ways to put video ads into smart TVs. We were, at the time, display advertising was big and video and mobile advertising was there, but TV advertising, you couldn't do the digital ads properly. So we talked to TV OEMs or manufacturers. Panasonic, LG was the first to say to us, let's figure this out. At the time, it was only those non-standard ad sizes in the UIs of the TVs. And we figured out that the best place to put the video ads was in the tuner of the TVs. Of course, there was no content, so we had to go out and start licensing content to put the ads in between. So a little, maybe not such a big, maybe not such a noble goal, perhaps, of doing the ads. But out of that was born an incredible industry, and it was the rise of the fast industry, where it changed from then just terrestrial channels and cable TV, introduced a whole new type of consumption. And we worked with LG, was the first one, but then we went on to work with just about every smart TV manufacturer on the planet to create linear channels from libraries of video content. And something magic happened when you stitched together the videos that were just like on social media or on different places around the web. You curated them into 24-hour channels, and people sat and watched a lot of it. And so it became a very interesting new revenue model for the TV manufacturers and just born out this new industry.
So fast is not new, is what you're saying.
It's in a way, I think Bill over there is our team. Says in a way, it's like an industry. It's been around forever, but it's not exactly. It's not a big surprise. Yeah, free TV on a television. It's been around for a while, but it's been rewired and sort of engineered, start to finish, to cater to the latest in digital. So Xumo was born, went on to be acquired by Comcast in 2020. At about the same time as Xumo was being created, when I was setting it up, Comcast, a big cable ISP, launched the X1 box, 2012. And the X1 box was a revolution in cable TV because it was, for the first time, took this world of internet apps and placed it right together with your cable TV box and integrated that. And Comcast was the first to do that with that box, with a great voice remote, voice search, and they've been doing that for longer than anybody. And out of that, and then that was around 2012, around 2019, they launched the Flex box, which was a next generation box that went with your broadband subscription for Comcast, an even better experience, bringing their applications together with TV. They launched X-Class TV in 2020, and then actually just this last 18 months ago, went within Sky in the UK, launched a Sky Glass. And so what happened with Xumo, what you see today, Xumo actually is the fusion of this world, the startup world. Actually, these are the three businesses of...
You want that slide?
Yeah, thank you, yeah. Or this, actually, let's go to that one, just talking about Comcast here. Let's go through the little animations. You can click through to the text there. Xumo is a joint venture. I was very pleased that the original Xumo brand that we set up for the startup was adopted by Comcast in a new joint venture with Charter, bringing the best of all these video offerings that Comcast has built around the world. The 75 million devices. Some people think of us as a new entrant into the space. I would actually say we have been doing this longer and better and bigger than anybody. 75 million devices around the world, 5 billion video streams a week, 40 million daily voice commands, with all those brands that you see that we deliver platforms for. So that's the assets that we bring into the Xumo company today. And actually, if you go back a slide, sorry, Dan, go back to this one. This is the lines of business. So we have Xumo is today. Xumo is an operating system. We power a number of smart TVs with a full operating system. Xumo Play is our direct-to-consumer free TV application with 300 free channels. It is a fast application. There's a lot more coming with that. Some real excitement coming there, but it's 300 live free channels and 12,000 assets of on-demand content. And then Xumo Enterprise is the business which we still service and power free TV and streaming video offerings from every one of the major smart TVs and streaming platforms around the world. So that's a little bit of a background into Xumo where it is today.
Yeah, thanks. Well, that's helpful. I'm sure a lot of people don't know the other portions of the business you're in. So we don't have enough time for all the questions I would want to ask you, but let's start with the OS. There's a lot of debate, obviously, in the market in TV OSs. We've got TiVo's now coming with Xperi, right, with the new OS. That doesn't make any sense to me, frankly. Obviously, Google's in the market. You have Roku, you have others. So what is the opportunity for you on the OS side? Where do you think that is? And is it North America? Because a lot of the OS deals we're seeing on TV side are APAC or other regions.
Yeah, Xumo is focused on North American market. That's our priority market. And in terms of the operating system, we think there's two exciting needs we fill. On the commercial side, I want to say there's been a generation one of smart TV operating systems out there, which were black box. TV manufacturer entrusted that operating system to a vendor, and there was a very good role to play, a life to be had together, but with very distinct responsibilities. The lifetime value of the customer was with the operating system, and the initial sale was the TV OEM. We believe that's different. There's a new generation, there's new needs that the TV manufacturers and the retailers that deliver them want a share of the lifetime value of the customer, and they have different needs. They don't want just black box solutions, they want a custom solution for what they are looking for. And we are best served to provide on a commercial basis a custom operating system fit to the needs of our retail.
So is that a shift though? Because if we think about the market 15 years ago, a lot of them wanted to own the OS and they were building it in-house. So are you now saying that they want to rely on a third party for the OS that's powering their TV? Because that's a kind of a pretty big chance they're taking. Now, you're not a small company, right? Comcast is not going under. But that's a different strategy in terms of TV manufacturers. Why is that?
Well, again, I would point to that slide with the immense amount of investment and the experience you've had to build across millions of customers, and that is incredibly difficult to
so it's scale.
And that scale, as well as the advertising that goes along with it, the content relationships, the distribution, and all of these things have to be brought together to execute.
Are you bringing content with that?
Well, if you look to Comcast's line of businesses with our NBC brands, with Peacock, Vudu, Fandango, Sky, there's a lot that we have that can really make this a very valuable relationship.
Okay, and so for those that want to license the OS, are most of them also looking for the content?
Again, I think this is, yes. So again, I think, an operating system without the best content will just not hunt with consumers. And so yes, I think, but it's not just Comcast content. It's also what we've done with our streaming platform so far. It's bringing the best of everybody's content to the consumer.
So curation.
Curation is there, and I like what you said about personalization, actually. Personalization matters more than ever. There's one problem I think that really governs on the consumer side. I was looking the other day at Google search trends, And if you go out and you look at where can I watch as a Google search trend, and you look at that since Google has been tracking it, you look at the exponential rise and consumers don't know where to find stuff. You all agree, I see lots of heads nodding there. That problem, I think, actually is also more important than people realize, how you get people to things that they want and they need to watch. Personalized approach, curation, and be able to use great metadata, figuring out how to find things. And I think that's where we excel. I think that is really something where we believe we can compete in the market.
I mean, discovery and personalization, I feel like we've been talking about this for 20 years, and it's still not at the level I think we want as consumers.
It's a moving target. There is a fragmentation of options. There's new industry. Right. Fast industry wasn't even there 6 or 7 years ago. And now there's this new industry. So you've got to keep innovating. You've got to keep trying. That's the point about why the operating system, why you need a big partner that can keep making those investments in solving those problems for consumers.
So can you tie in the retail side of this? Because not only are you doing the OS side with other manufacturers, but you're going to have your own hardware in the market. And you guys haven't announced details on that, and I know you're not going to do that here. That's okay, but can you just give the strategy there on the retail side?
To be clear, our own hardware in the market is not in the retail sense. We are not like, I think there's been announcements recently of large smart TV OSs, looking to enter the retail market with their own hardware. That is not what we're here for. We are powering the operating system and the experience for hardware manufacturers, like a Hisense or an Element.
Okay, so you're not going to manufacture any hardware yourself?
No. So on the other, and then our other business, our operating system, and I think this is actually perhaps the most unique thing about Xumo, is what we provide to our cable TV operators. Xumo is a joint venture between Charter and Xfinity. Those two companies together as broadband providers and customer relationships, more than half the US market use each of those two. These are our holding companies. And we have built and are building a Streambox, which will be delivered to customers for each of those two companies starting later this year, where we're going to take our operating system and all that innovation and deliver it to that enormous customer base, to our operator partners.
So just ISP customers for those two?
Yeah, so a variety. I think Flex, as you know, for Comcast was delivered to broadband customers who weren't sure they wanted a cable TV subscription, but having a device that could bring them video along with their broadband was a unique innovation by Comcast. So yes, to broadband customers, but also to video customers. That is very much part of what we're going to be doing with Charter and with Xfinity.
Do you think from the hardware component for those customers, specifically with those two ISPs, does that also give you a leg up in terms of just, let's call it the pay TV market, but also consumer signups as far as internet? Because it's interesting to watch, even as we see some cord cutting taking place in the market every year, and it hasn't been as big as some people suggested. ISPs are still doing very well, right? Because many of us are signing up for faster internet, right? So does the bundling come into play here? Because we're talking about bundling of content, services, devices, ISP.
I think bundling can happen in a few different senses. I think bundling from a package, you sign up for $29.99 for a bundle or $50, like there's that element. And of course, Comcast and Charter together have a long heritage in providing subscription products. But bundling also goes into packaging content, bringing together sort of varieties or bouquets of content suited to different types of customer. Again, that's something which we have a long experience in. So ranging from cable, traditional TV, through to applications and SVODs, and I use the word SVODs, a subscription video for applications, individual channels through a channel store, which we actually have a very exciting channel store offering, and then onto the free element. We are able to service all those types of content for consumers and for our platforms. Bring that together in a really easy to manage way, which is most important of all.
It's unique in the market for sure. Let's talk about Play. A lot of them probably know Xumo just from the actual service. There's a lot of options, right? We talked about all the fast channels, right? So what is it you think that's unique about Xumo just from, is it a content standpoint? Forget distribution, right? But is it a consumer experience? Is it playback? Is it video quality, ease of use, discovery? Like, what makes it different?
First, for consumers, love it. I mean, we have a huge variety of content from some of the biggest brands in the world, all easily available, free and easy to navigate and discover. But I think from a commercial side, when I started Xumo all those years ago, and we thought about the Play app and this free TV component, we were working with other people's platforms. We were working with smart TV manufacturers like LG. we now have the ability with our own platform to be able to fuse that in a really sort of, I think, elegant manner. And so I think what's most exciting from Xumo Play is our future and our ability to bring that Xumo Play offering onto our devices in a way that's very I think is the best generation, the next generation, the most innovative, the most differentiated in the market.
It just dawned on me, you're talking Play OS, the first two pieces here. We're talking everything to the large screen. So is the strategy here with Xumo always the TV is going to be the screen?
We think the TV is the center of the home. I think the big screen still is, and although my kids would beg to differ off in their dungeon with their little small screens flickering, that's my teenage boys. But I think at the end of the day, the smart TV, the big TV is where the center of the home is, and that is our priority focus. But you can't ignore the other screens. You have to be available on all the platforms, all other devices. You also can't just be on your own platforms. You've got to be on others. And so yes, we are led by the notion that the big screen TV is the focus. But you can't ignore the fact that consumption happens everywhere, in the home, out of the home. And I think we have a very exciting range to offer to consumers in that regard.
Okay, so you plan to play there. Time frame, not exact dates, of course, but time frame in terms of when this is rolling out on the ISP side?
We are later this year. We're going to be launching our new devices. We actually are, again, we are live today. We actually have TVs in retail. You can buy Xumo TVs today. You can use our Xumo services. But later this year, I think together with Charter and Xfinity, towards the end of the year, we're going to be bringing some of this latest generation tech to bear for our customers and available broadly, I think. And that's and then from there, it is a rocket ship of launches and new things to offer in the months and years to come.
Okay, so end of year. So if you launch in the end of the year, we'll have it here in the OTT demo area next year.
Yeah, I actually saw that up there, and I was like, I should have got a prototype out there just to be.
I would have taken it.
But yes, I think there's going to be. Our goal is next year to be in the demo area for.
Good. It's free. What is maybe one thing that you think we're getting wrong as an industry from a business model standpoint? Obviously this morning I talked a lot about business. For those coming tomorrow, I'm going to do what I did for business for technology. I'm going to talk some technology workflow things tomorrow. But from an industry standpoint, right, we have a lot of choice. We have a lot of options. There's a lot of different business models. We have a lot of people in the market. I have to always remind myself, there's so many new people in our industry who don't know the history, right? Who don't know 10, 12, 25 years ago. What is maybe one thing that they should be on the lookout for?
I will tell you a little personal story. I was in a startup before, and this is in credit to Comcast. I was in a startup where it was growth oriented. When you're a startup, you want to show user numbers skyrocketing, and we were doing that. That was what we were very good at with the Xumo, the original Xumo. But we were part of Comcast, and what we've learned is that growth matters, but doing things right matters too. And I think Comcast has a blend of being able to incubate new companies, bring things to market, but do them in a way that's managed and predictable, but also does well from a financial sense. And I think that is going to be our competitive advantage. I think the culture of fusing together from a Xumo business, this growth mindset, together with some of the maturity of a big company like that is a unique advantage that we have. So I think that's probably a good blend of both is, I think, what's necessary.
Yeah, I like the fact you're talking profitability. It's key.
It does matter.
We've got time for one more question. Sorry, we're going to cut about 8 minutes short because I ran a little late this morning. But final question that I wanted to ask you is just, yesterday I moderated a session with IMAX, and we were talking about IMAX Enhanced. Right? But what we're really talking about here is QoE, quality of experience. And the experience we all want changes based on your kids, small screen. I still want the large TV, especially for sports. How important is getting the quality right for the consumer that you're going after with Xumo, and how are you defining quality? Because there's no standard in the streaming world.
There's the oft referred to metrics. I mean, the most common used to measure any kind of streaming product is one of three things. Your user growth, your MAAs, your monthly active users, your user base. How many people do I reach? The second metric is the engagement they have on that platform, how much they're using it, enjoying it. The third is your unit economics that are derived from it, your ARPU, your yield per hour, or your sort of financial metrics. And I think that you asked me how we are measuring things. You need to look at all three. You can't ignore. You need a number. You have to be big. You have to have lots of reach. Your engagement is an indication of if somebody uses it, are they going to keep using it? Are they going to keep pay for it? And then the unit economics are sort of, can we derive financial value from it? If you dial the one up out of kilter with the others, then if you dial up your unit, you put too many ads in the experience, your engagement and your user growth suffers. So that's why it matters to actually be able to have all three running simultaneously. Now, you may favor some at certain points, but the ability to have those goes to any kind of AVOD platform or free TV. If I don't like what I saw, I'm never coming back.
Right.
Subscription, I'm not going to pay for it at the end of the month, and transactional, same thing. So I think all those things are resolved to those same three metrics.
Yeah, it's a good answer. I agree, definitely. Well, we're out of time here. Colin, thanks very much. Appreciate you being here. I know we didn't get to take questions, so if you can be in the back of the room, right, afterwards, you got questions for Colin, come to the back. We're going to have to reset the stage. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. We're going to kick off at 10:15 right here. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan.